Chuke here with Chuke's Outdoor Adventures. I had to do a video on this subject because it keeps happening. Now Chuck and I from Alaska Ballistics had a good weekend recently where he got his first black bear. So that was a lot of fun. You know, he's pretty new to Alaska, so we got him a black bear and we picked the wrong weekend for it. We went on Memorial Day weekend and there was tons of campers and hikers out in an area, even though you can only get there by boat. There was just a lot of people, and I had another incident where I ran into a hiker. Now, you know, I've talked about it before, but let me tell you what happened. I was hunting the spot. You know, Chuck got his bear. I wanted him to have first shot, so he got his bear the first night of hunting on this coastal area. So the next night, I wasn't really hunting hard. I was just having fun with the kids. But I decided, you know, the second day, Chuck was just going to take it easy, rest his legs. And I'd do some hunting because we had a real good spot. So I was scoped out on this little hill on a little sandbar right on this beach area where the bears come out. And, you know, lots of prints and signs of bears there. Tons of bear scat we found. So I was just waiting for a bear to come out. The sweet spot is kind of 9 o'clock at night, you know, 9 to midnight, sometimes earlier. Chuck got his about 8 o'clock. So I was just waiting for a bear to come out, and two hikers just started walking right in front of me across from this little pool of water on this little spit I was on, just walking right in front of the area that I was hunting. You know, there's hunter's etiquette. You know, other hunters, you don't, public land, it's impolite to, you know, creep up on somebody and walk through their hunting area. And I feel it should be the same way with hikers. So they didn't see me, and as they came closer, I sat up and, you know, had my water, and I just stood looking at them from 60 yards. The one guy, it was kind of ridiculous. He had $1,000 worth of REI equipment and 2 hiking poles extended fully. He was hiking like this, and I felt like telling him to relax, that my 6-year-old did that same trail in Crocs holding a naked Barbie, and he's got these giant hiking poles. Well, he was pretty geriatric. The other guy was younger. But anyways, they started walking through my spot, so I kind of stood up and I was like, really, guys? And my rifle was about 8 feet away from me on the ground with this little blanket I was laying on in my backpack, and I, you know, was back from it holding a bright neon blue Nalgene bottle, just drinking water, just, you know, what's up, guys? One of the guys, they both stopped and they just stared at me. It was this awkward silence. And then one of the guys said, "Whoa! Are you pointing a gun at me?" And I just couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. And I paused and I said, "I'm drinking water." And I went like that with my bottle. And then he went, "Oh." And then they kept walking, and I said, "But I am hunting this area." And he just kind of shrugged, and they stomped right through the area where all the bear tracks and bear scat were, and just walked up. They spent about 15 minutes going through the area. They looked at the gut pile of the bear that Chuck had got, and I just left after that. You know, all my chances were blown pretty much for that evening because they just stomped through the whole thing, spreading their smell. But it was just ridiculous, and I told Chuck about it. I was very upset. Came back to camp, and he said he would have given him an earful about doing that to hunters, and he would have yelled at him and stuff. And I was angry enough to, but I was scared that they were going to accuse me of pointing a gun at them. Now, it probably doesn't help I hunt in tactical clothing, like, and have my shemagh and my knee pads and, you know, paramilitaries. Anyways, that's just Chuke. I like to hunt like that, so I don't know if that freaked him out, but I wasn't holding a gun. I was holding a bright blue neon Nalgene bottle, and that's how they reacted. So it ruined my hunt. Part of it's on me because I picked a poor weekend to go hunting. I notice when I do take a weekday off and I go to spots like that, I'm going to see, there's still hikers around, but you're not going to see as many, especially a holiday weekend. There was, you know, 50 people camped, you know, 1,000 yards this way, and, you know, another 20 tents 600 yards this way on either side of our camp. So we weren't alone there, but that was just ridiculous. And a lot of these public land spots that we hunt are popular hiking trails, and there's got to be a balance between hunters and these recreationalists. And I don't know what it is, because their attitudes are pretty poor. Now, I grew up in Homer. I don't mind the hippies as much in Alaska, because I grew up in a hippie town, Homer, Alaska. That's probably why I'm a little weird. But Alaska hippies are different. The Alaska hippies are different than your humble San Francisco hippie. Alaska hippies, except for a few, are pretty cool. Alaska hippies, they all eat salmon, and a lot of them eat moose, and they're, tolerant of hunting and living off the land. They're more like, hillbillies. They're super cool. They listen to bluegrass music. They're just really hardy people, and a lot of them love to eat meat. A San Francisco hippie is going to be vegan and an activist and very against that kind of stuff. Now, I'm sure there's some super progressive hippies in Alaska. That's more urban. I've noticed in small town hippies in Alaska, they're eating salmon, listening to bluegrass music, drinking their dank beer. They're actually pretty cool people. They just don't bathe very much, or shave, and they just smoke a lot of pot. But whatever, it's their life. Most of the old hippies I know in Homer are cool. But so there's some of those, and one of those guys might have been hippie, but there's this new breed of progressive in Alaska, and I've talked about it before, and I don't want to just generalize and say everyone is like that, but I have noticed a trend of people that I meet out in the mountains. Now, especially in the Anchorage area, we have recently become a Democratic municipality. The Democrats have taken over, and it's because of all these transient workers. It's the nurses. I blame them, the nurses, the medical professionals, and the nonprofits. We have more nonprofits than any other state. Professionals, mid-level managers. They come up from out of state. We have a big turnover of our population. First it's the military, and then we have oil and gas workers. But almost a bigger player is these professionals that mainly work at hospitals and nonprofits. They come to Anchorage, and I think they're mainly progressive, because they've taken over the whole city of Anchorage, and we've got these horrible laws like SB 91. You hear about me complaining about my windows getting shattered on my car, my stuff, getting broken because of these rules that Democrats vote for. Now, I don't even like getting into politics, but I have to breach it a little bit in this video because of the hikers out there. Now, so we've got these progressive nurses. They're very progressive. There's a thing called Meetup. I don't know, it's something on the internet called Meetup. Now, hundreds of these nurses, they log in to these Meetup accounts, and it's super cool to go hiking. Like, I don't know how many I've met that they're on the Meetup account and they love to hike, and they'll brag about it. I'm a hiker, I go hiking. And it's like the same person. It's like these horrible middle-aged women, extremely progressive. Their skin is like leather because they've spent so much time outside. It's like, the retirees in Florida that just sit around on the beach all day, where their skin just turns to, if they're Caucasian, their skin turns to brown, really nasty looking thick leather, and they've just got these huge lines in their face from being outside and smiling and talking about progressive things. They're just ugly people inside and out. I'm sorry, I can't help it. I know I'm generalizing. Not all nurses in Anchorage are like that. Some are super cool. I'm friends with some. Some, carry bear spray and guns, but the majority, I have to say, that join these meetup groups and go way out backpacking in the mountains are extremely progressive, and I can't tell you how many times I've ran into them. I've got my rifle. Sometimes it's an AR-10 or something like that. I've got my shemagh, my full backpack. I'm just all, tired and in the mountains hunting bears, and I will run into a group of these progressive women. Now, just like the person that I ran into hunting, they've each got $1,000 worth of REI gear. They're driving brand new Subarus, and they're out in the mountains with their hiking poles, $1,000 worth of REI gear, and suddenly they run into this guy with a tactical shemagh and an AR-10 and a backpack, and they just sneer with complete disgust, and they just say, I mean, it's happened to me at least 3 or 4 times, like, what are you doing out here? Are you hunting people? No, I'm hunting. Well, what are you hunting? I'm hunting bears. I'm like, oh, are you a trophy hunter? Are you going to eat what you kill? And they just, I'm just like, yeah, I'm hunting for meat. I eat bears, all right? And it's just, and then they just sneer. Sometimes they'll say, you guys see any bears? No, we haven't seen a single bear. And then they stomp off and ring their bells. Ding, 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 ding. Power walk down the mountain. I'm sure they're writing about me in the meetup archives or whatever, the meetup forum. But it keeps happening, and it's more and more. I can no longer go on some of my favorite hunting mountain trips because of so many recreational hikers on this, state, federal, public land where you're allowed to hunt in Alaska. In the early spring, I can do it. It's kind of too late for now. It's 1st of June now. They're out in droves. I can go on the trails in early spring. I'll still see hikers. I'll run into some people like that, but it's not as bad. If I'm lucky, I can go without seeing anybody. And then the late fall, they stop hiking as much when it starts getting pretty cold. And then I can go on those trails and hopefully get on a bear. But I keep running into them, and they're just awful people. They hate hunters. They hate guns. I don't want to generalize. I will say some of these nurses and professionals from the city, they'll have a friend that they want to have a gun bring along. They'll have bear spray. Some of them don't. Those are the idiots. They don't bring any bear spray, just bells, bear bells. And, those people that were killed at the mine and that kid who was running that was killed, last year, that's just going to happen to them, and it's their fault if they do a backpacking trip in Alaska where there's 900-pound grizzly bears in the interior. I can't really feel sorry for them. One, because they're awful people. Their personalities are just awful. And secondly, they're very stupid to not bring a gun out in bear country. But just the disgust I get. And some are tourists. Like last year, I had my whole get-up on, and I ran into this couple. They were obviously from Brooklyn, hipsters. And the lady was just like, hi, how you doing? As they passed me on the trail, just super fake and insincere. And the guy just like looked at me with complete disgust and fear, and was just like, what the? As they passed me, I'm just holding my rifle, just puffing along. Hey, how's it going? And he didn't say a word to me. He's just like, eh. But they were total progressives, anti-gun, anti-hunting, and unfortunately, we're seeing more and more of this in Alaska. They've made a couple runs at the gun laws, but of course they were shut down because it's Alaska. And I have liberal friends that are into guns. That I know, that I work with, and I think that's awesome. I don't care for liberalism. I feel it's a mental disorder, but I think it's cool that there's liberals that are into guns. We need more of that, because if not, with the way it's going, they're just going to pass horrible laws and outlaw our guns or whatever. But thankfully, there's a good number of Democrats that are in the middle, and they support guns and hunting. But anyways, I digress. I just wanted to put this out there. What do you guys think? What should I do next time I'm hunting bears in a mountain or a coastal area and some progressive stomps through and says, I don't care if you're hunting? I mean, what are we supposed to do? It's just ridiculous, and it's getting worse. So there's my rant. When hunters and progressives meet in the mountains of Alaska. It's happening more and more, but I'm waiting to see what Chuck does, because of course he freaked out when I told him about the crackhead that broke my window, how he would have maced her and stepped on her head and blah, blah, blah. So I'm just waiting for it to happen to Chuck when somebody walks by his hunting area, because he's going to flip out, and I can't wait to watch it. So let me know what you guys think. I don't think I'm going to have my live stream tomorrow, because I'm working all day. But next Sunday, maybe Friday, I'll have my live stream. Please find me on Instagram and Facebook, and please support me on Patreon so I can keep these going. Chuck should have a pretty cool video coming up where he shot his small black bear. I troll him because it was small, but it was an adult black bear, and I shot it with his 7 mag and then took it out, shattered its spine, but it crawled 100 yards, and he took it out with his 10mm Glock 40. So we got some good footage of that. So thanks, guys. It's Chuke, your friend in the field.
Outdoor adventure. No.